Oh, man, I have a big daily problems podcast.
Well, that's okay because I have a giant daily solutions podcast.
All right.
That was a weird intro, huh? My name's Graham.
Welcome.
Oh, hi. Hi. Also, I'm Graham.
My name's Ashkahn.
And today's question is, what type of thermometer do you use?
Thermometer.
Yep. To make the perfect turkey. No, I assume they mean in your float tank. They didn't specify.
We use like a handheld thermometer. So there's thermometers in the float tanks. Each one comes with a little thing to tell you the temperature. But we like having another external handheld thermometer that we use because, one, we've a kind of variety of models of float tank in our center. So it's nice for us having one device we can use from tank to tank to tank to get a more kind of consistent readout across all of them.
Yep, and it ends up just being nice to also be able to have those around to double check things and just compare. And we actually use ones that end up being really precise in their measurements too. So reference thermometers are actually what they're called.
Yeah.
And we get one that goes down to plus or minus 0.08 degrees, so under 0.1 degrees of accuracy, which oftentimes next steps up from there get to 0.8 degrees of accuracy is a really common one that you see. Yeah, which at that point it means that when you measure it, you're within 1.6 degrees of what you think you're measuring. It's not a good range,
Yeah. And what do you remember? So we use the company's called ThermoWorks. Mm-hmm. Do you remember what the actual model of the one we use is?
I can look it up. Stall.
Okay, all right. The other nice thing about thermometers is that, if you don't know if it's cold or hot, that's how you figure it out. You use a thermometer. And so here I should say a few things about these thermometers because while we're about to tell you the model of the one that we have, it certainly is not perfect. It helps us be accurate, but it breaks on us all the time. It is meant to be kind of like water resistant, but it doesn't seem to actually be able to hold up to the onslaught of water and salt that even when we try to be careful, somehow still makes its way up the probe into the electronics, and eventually they die on us. So we have two of these on hand at any given point in time because we're used to one breaking down to the point where we need to send it in for repairs. We're constantly sending one of these in repairs.
Here's a pro tip too. I recommend naming all of your fragile objects in your shop because it makes people care about them more. This is our theory, at least.
Yeah, we tried naming them. We even tried putting googly eyes on them. Really getting people to have kind of a sentimental attachment to the thermometer so that they wouldn't be as willing to treat them in a way that would break them. But it still didn't. If anything, it's just made us realize we kill a lot of thermometers. Yeah, we've gone from Tommy to tuppence to
back to Tommy again. Actually, that's where we are again. Yeah. And I looked it up. I nailed it before. It's just their reference thermometer.
That's it. It's just called the ThermoWorks.
Their handheld reference thermometer. Yep.
There's no number. The 65,000.
Let's see. I don't see a number.
Okay. Well, if it should be called the 65,000. It should have a cool name like that.
I'll bring that up with. Okay, yeah, here it's the SKU number is THS 222-555.
Nice, yeah, that sounds way more slick.
Yeah, it just rolls off the tongue, So that's what we use. We use the THS 222-555. $300.
$300.
But the nice thing is when it breaks down, we don't have to pay that for an entirely new thermometer. No, we actually just send it back to the company for repairs and. Oftentimes, it's the probe that needs to be replaced, or the battery pack got corroded, and they can just replace those elements send it back.
A small fee. But
yeah, under $100, I think.
But yeah, it still adds up as an expense. It's like a recurring expense for us is keeping working thermometers.
Yeah, it's a good lesson, I guess, beyond just thermometers too. Is not much that's electronic is long for this world in a float tank center.
And I guess the other thing to mention with thermometers is that. Even if you have the most accurate thermometer in the world, you still have to deal with the fact that the water in the float tank might not be uniform. You might be measuring a spot that is slightly warmer than another spot and it's not mixed up, or maybe the pump just was running and it heated the water up a little bit. So it's not necessarily the only thing to consider with temperature. There's just kind of a lot of uncontrollable variables or variables that throw the numbers off a little bit, even if you have an incredibly accurate thermometer.
Yeah, unless you get kind of like 5 of them and make sort of a little grid of probes that you put down across the water at different depths, and then write a computer program to kind of take the averages. And
I should say too, we have those like laser gun thermometers. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, the old laser
laser
therms.
guns. Those don't seem to work very well.
Yep.
Like we got one and we've
really.
tested. Yeah, they don't really work at all.
And that we actually confirmed that with the ThermoWorks thermometer company as well.
Yeah.
They were pretty much saying that, yeah, getting readings off of the water with the refraction of the salt and just everything going on is you're not going to be able to measure it, and they're not even that accurate.
No,
you know, a lot of these
even
things
for the things they're
measuring,
meant to be used for, they're not really like
yeah,
the
they're
most
measuring
accurate things.
ranges of hundreds of degrees, like for really heat when your HVAC system heats up,
Right.
and different things like that. Not like 0.1 degrees.
So it was tempting for once we started breaking these, we're like, oh man, something that can take a temperature from a distance sounds really great. But yeah, it did not seem to actually be the solution.
Yep, and definitely, if you are choosing out your own thermometer, obviously there's many companies that offer these, but definitely take a look at that precision amount.
Yeah.
And in my mind, again, anything that's above 0.1 degrees is a little too high. All right.
Done. Check.
Shabam. Thanks for the question. And if you have your own, send them to floatanksolutions.com/podcast.
Talk to you tomorrow.
Bye.